So you want to get smarter. According to the standard life script, that means spending over 2 decades in classrooms, school, college, maybe even grad school, only to walk out with degrees, some debt, and a vague sense of what now? Best case, you can describe your own confusion in perfectly structured sentences. But here's the truth. Becoming smarter isn't locked behind institutions, genetics, or some elite path reserved for a select few. It's much simpler and far more in your control than anyone tells you. Think about it. Compared to every other species on this planet, you're already overpowered. You can learn almost anything anytime from anywhere. The problem was never ability. It's how you've been using it. When most people say they want to be smarter, they usually mean a specific mix of things. They want useful skills, ideally ones that translate into real opportunity. They want to solve problems faster and with more confidence. They want to understand complex topics without feeling like they're missing something everyone else can see. They want to perform well intellectually and practically. And yes, they want to carry themselves in a way that makes people take them seriously without becoming insufferable about it. The issue is that most advice out there is either too vague to follow or too shallow to matter. On one side, you get abstract philosophical ideas that sound profound but leave you with nothing concrete to do. On the other, you get surface-level brain hacks. Eat this, drink that, sleep more, listen to classical music while you study. None of that replaces the actual work of learning. Some of the most brilliant minds in history didn't have optimized morning routines. They just spent serious time thinking, reading, and wrestling with hard ideas. So what actually works? It starts with something deceptively simple. Reading, not scrolling. Not short-form content that disappears from your memory the moment you swipe away. Real, sustained reading. But it's not just about reading more. It's about reading with genuine purpose. Fiction, for instance, does more than entertain. It builds reading speed, expands vocabulary, and quietly sharpens your understanding of how people think and communicate. Read enough dialogue written by skilled authors, and you start absorbing the rhythms of real human conversation without even trying. But reading alone isn't enough, and this is where most people quietly fall apart. They read, feel productive for an hour, and then forget almost everything within a week. If you want results that actually stick, you need to understand how learning works at a mechanical level. First, if you don't use what you learn, your brain treats it as clutter and discards it. Memory isn't passive storage. It's a system that keeps what gets used and quietly deletes what doesn't. Second, you don't need to master everything to become genuinely capable at something. Roughly 20% of the knowledge in any field will give you 80% of the practical results. That's why beginners improve so explosively at the start. They're absorbing the highest leverage material first. This is the learning curve. Early progress is fast, but only if you actually practice, not just consume. Nobody learns to tie a knot by watching a tutorial with their hands in their lap. You learn by doing it simultaneously, fumbling through it, getting it wrong, and trying again until the motion becomes automatic. The same principle applies to everything, including reading. Books don't make you smarter. Putting what's inside them to work does. If you read about organizing a space, go organize one. It doesn't have to be yours. The moment you apply something, your brain marks it as relevant, and relevant things stick. But what if you can't apply something right away? Then you simulate. Say you're learning how to jumpstart a car. Ideally, you do it in a real parking lot with actual cables. But if you can't, you can still train your brain effectively. Close your eyes and walk through the entire situation in detail. The car won't start. You pop the hood. You grab the cables. You connect them in the right sequence, step by step, feeling the weight of each decision. Watch a video and mentally place yourself inside it. Your brain doesn't fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you simulate with enough detail, it registers as genuine practice. Meanwhile, someone who just memorized a labeled diagram will freeze the moment something doesn't look exactly like the picture. That's the difference between knowledge and capability. Smart people don't collect information. They run it through action, either physically or in their minds. And this leads to something critical. Your brain only preserves what feels useful. Schools manufacture urgency artificially through tests. You study something you may not use for years. So the institution creates an exam to make it feel relevant for a few days. Your brain mobilizes, you retain just enough to pass. And then, because the urgency disappears, most of it fades with it. So if you want to actually get smarter, you have to manufacture real or simulated relevance yourself. Don't just read about communication. Deploy it in your next conversation. Don't just study a concept. Apply it to something you already care about. And don't just learn something. Try explaining it clearly to someone who knows nothing about it. Because genuine intelligence lives in output, not input. Anyone can recognize information when it's placed in front of them. The real question is whether you can produce it under pressure from memory in a new context. That's where most people stall. They stay in permanent consumption mode, always learning, never applying, never testing themselves, which is exactly why one method rises above everything else. Practice in context. Force yourself to retrieve and use knowledge the way real life will demand it. Create your own questions. Build scenarios. Add imaginary stakes if you have to. Your focus sharpens the moment something feels consequential. At the core, getting smarter isn't about loading more information into your head. It's about convincing your brain that what you're learning genuinely matters, and then proving it through use. Read with intent. Apply immediately. Simulate when you can't apply. Test yourself relentlessly. Do that consistently, and you won't just feel smarter. You'll become someone whose intelligence shows up where it counts, in real decisions, real conversations, and real results. Now go use it.